What's up guys and welcome back to the channel. So someone asked me how I decide on what weapons to take to the Milsim. So I've got a table here just full of weapons. I'm just going to talk to you about which ones I decide to take and when I decide to take them. Again, it's all personal preference on this, but hopefully it'll just give you a quick insight in how I decide to take it. Now, again, this isn't all the weapons that I've got. I will be talking about some weapons that aren't on the table or that don't own. So let's get into it. So let's start with rifles. Now, here I've got my standard Mark 18 rifle. Normally, 90% of the time, that's the weapon system I'll choose. It just fits every role that I want it to do. It's decked out with everything that I need it to be. Torches, debals, you know, it just fits the role that I need. Again, depending on your role at the op, this is another important thing you need to look at. Will depend on what weapon you take. So if I'm playing op 4, I'm not going to be able to use that weapon system. I'm going to have to use the old faithful AK, one of my favourite weapons that I own. Absolutely love it. It's, you know, it's just my go-to weapon if anything goes down. But when I'm playing op 4, that's my pride and joy basically. That's what I use. I get in with the role. Fit in with the role that you're playing. If you're playing up 4, use an AK, use like M4 weapon, but take all the tack lights off, take the foregrips off, suppressors, run it bare bones, just straight iron sight, fit into the role that you're playing. That's another thing you need to look at is when you're deciding your weapon. Look at the role that you're playing as and fit into that role. If you fit into the knock 4 role and you start to look the part, it's a lot more funner, trust me. It's great playing knock 4 when you look the part and you act the part. So get the weapon system to fit that role. The next thing, they're just your bog standard rifles. Moving on up, you've got something like your DMR. Now I've just decked out my M27 here, it's not really a complete DMR setup, but it's got the long range barrel in there, it's got the ACOG scope for magnified optics basically. You can switch this out for scope, short dots, whatever. It's just a longer weapon system, and it's got a magnified optic to allow it for to see in the scout roles or getting that extra distance. Again, if you're playing in a DMR role, if you're playing reconnaissance role, you're going to want to use a sniper rifle or a DMR setup with a magnified optic. Now I don't have a sniper rifle setup here, but normally that's what you'd go for in the reconnaissance role. Sniper setup, ghillie suit, reconnaissance, stuff like DMR, ghillie suit. Again, covert things, you're building hides, you're staying out, you're sitting in buildings well back from the windows and you're taking an intel. Other things I'd take on that type of op is like cameras and things like that. Fit into the role, use the weapon systems for the role that you're playing. Again, DMRs are effective, really effective, but remember, they've got the limitations with engagement roles, same with sniper rifles, so bear that in mind. And especially at Milsims, you only get a certain amount of shots before guys are on top of you ready to breach your building. So again, fit your role. It's all selecting your weapon system is all about fitting the role, but it is AO dependent as well. Now, weapon system that I haven't got here on the table, LMGs. LMGs are a game changer. They really are. They can change the way a battle is fought, basically, whether in real life or in the Milsim scene. Having an LMG is really a vital component on a team. You know, it's the weapon. Now most ops are saying semi-only, so the LMGs come into their own with the full auto, and having the ability to put that many BBs down range at such a fast rate of fire is amazing. It's gonna allow you to advance better, and the LMG is starting to become a very, very key role now in Milsim ops, and to be honest, I think if you haven't got one, you're at a disadvantage. LMGs are brilliant, but the bulky, the heavy, so make sure the guy who's running the LMG, if you're running it, you've got someone carrying spare ammo for you, you know, dish your gear out, you're carrying in a heavier weapon system, so work as a team when you're picking your load out. Again, if you're playing solo, LMG, take it with you by all means, take a rifle with you, having it there as a backup. You might not use it on the op, but just in case you get put into the team and they haven't got an LMG capability, you can fit that role. So again, picking your weapons is important. I'm not saying take all these weapons with you, leave them in the fob. Don't do that. It's stupid. You're just gonna take weapons with you that you're not gonna need. Again, don't take loads of weapons. Just select them for the area that you're gonna do and fitting into the role that you want. So normally, LMGs are brilliant. I haven't got one here, but again, if you've got an LMG, take it with you. It's one of them weapons that you can take with you, kind of thing, and leave it there. But if you need it, it's a nice thing to call upon. Again, other weapons that fit into that type of role are like submachine guns, or what I've got here, the MP7. Now, the MP7 is an awesome weapon. It lacks on range, it lacks on the distance, but where the MP7 and the submachine guns come into their own, having this short, compact weapon system, basically like a pistol setup where you've got the collapsible stock, like so, you can really get it in tight, or if you want, you can extend it out, and you've got that real compact weapon. Where I've seen these come into their own, nighttime, I've seen MP7s absolutely come into their own in the night. A lot of guys have ran them, and it's because your engagement distance are a lot closer. So when you get into the night ops and stuff like that, you tend to be closer to the guys. You're going into where they're sleeping. So having a weapon system that can really keep in tight to your body is nice. And I see a lot of guys on night ops switching to pistols because it's easier to engage with than it is a rifle. Again, it's all dependent on you. But I wouldn't really take a submachine gun or a MP7, so to speak, to a standard day part of the game. You're lacking on range, you're just basically combat ineffective. I'd only take an MP7 really out in the dark, in the night time, where it's getting real tight, real close, your engagements are less, and you're basically just going in and kicking people in the sleep. But I have seen them come to their own, and they have got the place. Me personally, I don't take it. I've never felt the need for it, but I have seen them being used effective. So bear that one in mind as well. Other things to look at, launchers. M320s, like you see me use regularly. 203s with tag rounds really are game changers again. Them weapon systems are unbelievably effective. You can take out vehicles, you can take out groups of guys, you can take out buildings, depending on the op that you go to. Again, you can carry mortars. Mortars are absolutely brilliant and effective. If you get the TLS FX mortar bangs, slot them in the tube, boom, gone. You're wiping squads out with them things. These are other things to look at. Rocket launchers, laws, things like that. Again, weapon systems to look at. Basically, anything that goes bang is a plus. Carrying loads of smoke, carrying loads of pyro between your squad. It's all things to look at as an individual of what weapons to take. Normally, they're add-ons kind of thing apart from your primaries, but let's delve into them a bit more. Carrying all the smoke and carrying all the pyro is brilliant. It can change the outcome of a situation. Use smoke effectively at a Seni Bridge to bug out from contact. I've used it effectively to attack buildings. I've used tag rounds to take out people and move into buildings. I've watched guys with rocket launchers take out vehicles. These things change the situation on how the op runs. So having that ability is key. So if you've got that ability, there's stuff that I take anyway. Things that I'd take even if I'd leave them in. I'm not talking take all these weapons. There's stuff that I take because they're combat effective weapons as well as my primary. So selecting your weapons is key. Again, AO is dependent. MP7 Stanta nighttime, unbelievably great because it's building, it's tight, close in. Copil down, maybe, yeah, but you go somewhere like the Sandpit, longer range sites like the Valley and things like that, I wouldn't bother. The odds of you needing an MP7, slim to none. It's not really close quarters. Again, DMRs coming to their own there at longer range sites. You're not really worrying too much at their engagement distances because the odds are you're seeing guys further away anyway. So again, you could even take a DMR as just a primary weapon at them ops. I wouldn't take a DMR as a primary weapon and use it in CQB for stancing and things like that. Pistol setups, just got a Sigia. Again, my pride and joy, whether you want to run a bare bones pistol or you want to deck it out here like this one, with an attack light and things like that, laser system, it's up to you. But pistols, again, I personally would not go to the knot without a pistol. The amount of times I've used that when I've run low on ammo, I've been in closer quarters and I needed the pistol setup to get round the corner, I've gave me pistol out to people to use as a backup because the weapon's gone down, they're out of ammo. I would not go to the knot without a pistol setup. Having a pistol is amazing. You know, it's a comfort factor. Do you need it? Not really. Do I advise it? 100% yeah. Having that ability to switch to the weapon when that weapon goes down can alter the outcome of a firefight for you. Again, guys, that's just my opinion on how I decide a weapon. It's all about the AO. It's all about the situation that I'm going to find myself in. You know, this is all prior to the op. You research all these things and you go in before you go to the Milsim event and you look at things like this. Where are you playing? What type of mission role are you doing? Reconnaissance, DMR type roles, or are you doing assaulting buildings roles? Are you kind of an ambush team? I don't know. Taking things like rocket launchers, trip mines, pyro, smoke, that's all within the role to your primary weapon. So I hope this gave you a quick insight to how I decide what weapons to take to ops. Obviously there's a few weapons that I haven't got here, but if you've got any questions about any weapons or you want to ask anything, drop it down below or on Facebook, message me. You know, it's all there. All the links are in the description up there. So just follow me on Instagram and things like that. If you've got any questions, just try and comment and I'll try and reply. Again, it's all personal preference on what weapon you take. But as always, guys, I hope you enjoyed this little video. As always, I'll see you in the next video.